All those in favor?
Okay.
Okay, we all set to start our regular meeting?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay, so I am going to call to order the Northeast Kingdom Waste Management District Board of Supervisors meeting of Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. First thing is there any updates to the agenda?
Just 1 second. Are we doing the call?
Yeah, I'm
attendance?
gonna call the roll right now.
Okay,
All right, here we go. Albany. Barnett. I know Barnett is here. Yeah, William Douglas is on the call here. Bloomfield,
Here.
Brighton,
Here.
Brownington, Brunswick,
Here.
Cabot, Charleston, Concord,
Mhm.
Corinth, Danville,
here.
Derby,
Here.
East Haven. I know Kerwin is here.
Yes, here. I'm here.
Okay. Glover, Granby, Greensboro,
Here.
Groton, Guildhall, Holland, Daryl is here.
Barnett is here.
All right. Holland. I know Daryl is here, so we'll move to Irisburg. Jay,
Here.
Kirby, Lunenburg, Linden,
Yeah.
Maidstone,
Here.
Marshfield, Morgan, Newark. Jan is here. Newbury, Newport Town, Norton. I know Gina's here.
Yes, Norton, sorry.
Peacham,
Here.
Reigate, Sheffield,
Here.
Stannard, Sutton, Topsham,
Here.
Troy, UTG,
Here,
Victory, Waterford,
Here.
Westfield,
Here.
Westmore,
here,
Wheelock.
Here.
All right, Walt, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, do we have a quorum?
We do.
Okay, so I'm just going to make sure this is correct. I'm going to repeat everything that I had said before, that this is the Northeast Kingdom Waste Management District Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. And the first order of business, is there any updates to the agenda?
I got it. Composting.
Steve would like to add composting to the agenda.
Okay, that will be under other business.
Can I save it?
Okay, the approval of the minutes of October 14th, 2025.
So move.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, we'll move it to a vote. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the vote passes. Number 5 in the agenda, the SWIP approval, and I'll turn that over to Chris.
Okay, so as you're aware, we need to submit our SWIP application to the state. We are nearly to the finish line on that. The final hurdle is getting your approval tonight to submit that. And I wanted to mention that I did hear back on the hauler exemption that we had discussed the last about 2 months ago. So typically the hauler exemption is, according to Paul, was easy to get from DEC. They realize our situation where we have a lot of smaller haulers that just can't physically collect trash and recycling. And it's the position of the district that we do not want to force the smaller haulers to take on that additional burden of collecting, recycling, and trash. It would entail adding employees and vehicles, and it would really put them in a bind financially to try to do that. So we did submit a hauler exemption request to A&R. We received a preliminary approval from A&R, but they did add some stipulations this year. And there were three significant ones that we will have to address and perform once our SWIP is approved. They include updating the website. We currently have a page on our district website that lists all of the haulers. It gives the hauler's name, address, phone number. DEC would like us to update that so it actually details what each of those haulers is willing to pick up. So it's basically additional information that will help residents understand what each hauler is willing to do, and it will help residents as they try to select a hauler that fits their needs. So we will be updating our website appropriately. They also wanted us to continue annual tracking of our diversion rate, which is basically how much recycling are we diverting from the waste stream. I looked back over the last 5 years, which is the time period from our current SWIP, and it ranges from 48 to 52%. The last few years have been 48 or 49%. So A&R would like to see that number gradually increase over time. In this past SWIP period, the last 5 years, our number has not increased. It's been very level. And so they're not really, they really can't explain that. We really can't explain that. And those numbers are not a lot different than other solid waste districts around the state. Most of them are in the low to mid 50s. And so they would like to just make sure that we continue tracking that number to see if we can inch that up a little bit. And then they'd also like us to do some outreach to all of the haulers over the next few years. Reminding them that if it is at all possible, that they should be picking up recyclables and trash together, that the hauler exemption may not always be granted to us. And so we should be encouraging them whenever possible, if they can, to collect recyclables. So those are the stipulations that they're going to place on our hauler exemption, but they have given preliminary approval to that. So I would like to submit our final SWIP application, which will cover the next 5-year period. And everything is in place to do that. We just need to have Board of Supervisors approval of that SWIP. And we did have 2 public comment periods, 2 public hearings. We had no comments submitted at all from the public. So I believe that our 2026 to 2030 SWIP is now ready to approve by the Board of Supervisors this evening.
Okay.
Chris, I
I'll
do
make a
have a
motion
comment.
to approve it.
Walt, go ahead.
No, I want to hear a second on that first.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, now discussion. I do have a comment to make, Chris, as you had just said that the state is looking for a higher amount of recycling. And the question I have is, I see more and more, especially where I live in Danville, of people using Casella or Myers, and they are recycling, but does that get reported as something for the district? So the town itself is recycling more, but I don't think that's being part of our overall reporting of recycling.
That's a good thought, and I can certainly follow up with A&R on that to see how that number's being captured.
Is Paul here?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay. Well, I can speak to that
Okay.
for a second, not to jump in. Yeah, certainly haulers do submit their monthly reporting to the district, and that reporting is allocated to each town's diversion rate. And so as long as that tonnage of recycling is reported by Casella, of course, it's hard to know how accurate it is. If they're doing a route that spans multiple towns, there might be some estimation in that. But yes, that is reported on a monthly basis to the district, and it is a part of that diversion rate. One thing, I just want to put this term in your ear, Chris. I don't want to step any bounds with my role in A&R, but materials have been lightweighting over the past few years quite significantly. And so materials are legitimately lighter now than they were in the past. And so a decrease of 52 to 48%, like I can't say like for certain, like, whoa, that's a decrease. But I think that, when you look at the district's performance, that could be accounted to material just becoming lighter over the past few years, specifically plastic and cardboard. So that's all I need to add on that.
Thanks, Shannon. That helps a lot. And it's interesting that I didn't get that. I didn't get that perspective when I spoke to DEC about our SWIP. But
well, no, I mean, I will say because I have a perspective of being from the district,
right.
I think maybe a little bit more. I still have that district perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just something that popped into my mind when I heard you mention that. Well, materials are getting lighter. Something that, you might not have seen over the years, like because you haven't been there, but certainly cardboard and plastic and electronics are becoming much lighter, and so.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to mention is I kind of made our argument to DEC that we really don't get much credit for the processing of styrofoam. And it's an extremely lightweight item, but as far as its importance being diverted from the landfill, it's a huge benefit to do that because it takes up so much room, yet it is extremely light. And you know, we're the only district that does process styrofoam. And so I think that's something that I mean, I tried to make our argument that we are providing that benefit of diversion, but really not capturing that full benefit if you just go by weight. And I'll continue to make that argument. And maybe there's a better way to track that going forward.
Trash math is always difficult, and it is unfortunately always done by weight. And so volume,
Mhm.
yeah, but I'll just say, yeah, trash math is my least favorite kind of math. Favorite/least favorite.
The styrofoam is also replacing heavier cardboard.
There's a question from Westmore.
Go ahead, Westmore.
Thank you. That is the SWIP that we're considering tonight to approve. That is the solid waste implementation plan for the district. And because it is such, does it cover the multiple facilities that are located in the many towns within the district? So that Westmore will now have a SWIP, and it will be the one we're approving of tonight.
Yes.
All of the member towns are included in that document. Yes.
Thank you. That's the question. One other one, if you'll let me go on about the hauler exemption. You know, I've never really understood we're exempting the haulers from what.
We are exempting them from the requirement for all of them to collect recycling and trash.
So it's obligatory that they pick up trash, but the exemption would be that the haulers in our district are exempt from also picking up recyclables. Do I got that right?
Yeah, we have such good coverage with our transfer stations in the towns that we feel like every resident in the kingdom really has a good opportunity in proximity to where they live to recycle if they want to. And again, the discussion was also as a protection measure of some sort for the haulers, because we have so many small haulers that just don't have the financial capacity to add trucks and employees to also collect recyclables. And we didn't want to drive people out of business and really limit competition in the trash sector. And those are the arguments that I heard when we discussed this a couple months ago.
Well, speaking to that, only in the kind of micro way that's happening here in Westmore, we're making some changes to the way we handle trash and recycling in our town. But the haulers that I've identified, and as you spoke earlier, the website does contain a list of registered haulers. You do. And from that list, I was able to obtain what I thought maybe were individual haulers who would service our town, given that we were no longer going to do it through the municipality. Those times have changed. All those fellows are doing all right. They're okay. They all have big trucks, maybe trailers. There's not many of them here, but I'm not too sure that idea about haulers being somehow not well paid or something. They're getting by. And also the other point I want to make is when I asked about whether or not they will also pick up recyclables, all of them said, oh yeah, of course. So it's kind of a given now I think, in the state, thanks to the state, I hope, and what's been happening, that recyclables are picked up and recycled everywhere. Just a comment. Thank you.
Okay, Walter.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor for a vote for the SWIP approval as presented by Chris with the modifications that will be presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. Item number 6, the skid steer payment, second out of 3, for approved approval of Passumpsic Bank, $17,380.08. And I'll open it up since there's a vote required for someone wishing to start it off.
I'll make a motion that we approve the payment of $17,380.08.
And I second
Payment. Okay.
Again, Chris?
Yeah, not a whole lot of detail to add here. This will be payment 2, and we're basically bringing this to the supervisors just because of the dollar amount and the need for a vote when the dollar amount is that high. This is it's a Kubota skid steer that we use every single day.
Okay, is there any discussion from any supervisor? Then we'll put the vote forward. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the payment passes. Number 7, annual renewal of line of credit with Passumpsic Bank, $40,000 at 5.07%. Since there's a vote required, I'd like to have a motion to put it on the floor.
Also move. Jake Kuchar from Westfield.
And I'll second that.
Okay, Chris?
All right, so this is something that the district holds just as a kind of a, if we need to break glass and in the event of emergency, and we need some funds. From what I was told from Michelle, this was not used last year. The current, our current line of credit is for the same amount of money and is 5.03%. So there's a slight increase, and our current line of credit will expire in January, but we'd like to get a jump on it. And we are not changing banks or the dollar amount, and just a slight change in the interest rate.
I have a question. Is there an annual fee to keep that line open?
I do not know that. I do not know the answer to that. But I can check and let everyone know.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I've never heard of a fee before for the line of credit in all the previous years, so I don't think there is, but you can still check on it. Any other discussions? Okay, then we'll move the question forward. All those in favor of the annual renewal of line of credit with Passumpsic Bank, $40,000 at 5.07%, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Number 8, financial and operations update. Chris?
All right. I sent out the notes for today. I've been trying to add some more operational things just so you can kind of get an idea of what goes on here at the district facility in Linden. And I would really like to get people's input about if there are things that you would like to know more about on a monthly basis. If there's things on that are normally in the notes that you really don't think are worthwhile, let me know. But I'm open to making these notes as useful to you as I can. So please provide me some feedback. Just shoot me an email and we can have a conversation about that. So we just had our first public hearing for the budget. Just prior to December's meeting, we will repeat this process from 6 p.m. to 6:30. We will have the second public hearing on our budget, and then we will be able to vote at the December meeting on the budget. I did include in the packet the tire policy. I took the changes that the board made at the last meeting, and so you should have a copy of the final policy to refer to. So we had for the month of October, I'm really learning about how the district budget month to month really seesaws up and down. If you make a large quarterly payment on something, it's going to make it look like you spent a lot more than came in. If you have a month where you had some good revenue and you didn't have to make a big payment on a machine or healthcare or workers' comp, then all of a sudden it's going to look like you had a great month. But so I'm still getting used to that, but we are pretty much on track. Revenues are a little higher than expected for this part of the year. Expenses are also a little higher than expected. We currently have a surplus of just over $34,000. Over the last month, we had a forklift repair payment, which was a little unexpected to me. We had the forklift had its preventative maintenance done, and the guy showed up with parts that I guess the last preventative maintenance had some chains and hoses that needed to be replaced. And so I didn't know that was actually going to happen. So that work did get done. So the forklift is all up to snuff. We sent out our final household hazardous waste shipment of the year. We do not house any of those hazardous chemicals over the winter because we do not have heated storage. So we have 4 or 5 hazardous waste buildings that are small metal enclosed buildings that are explosion proof and they're secure. And we make a point of making sure that we don't carry over any hazardous chemicals through the winter. So we had our last pickup and received a large bill for that. That is covered in the cost for that is covered with our state SWIP grant. Made quarterly payments to workers' comp and insurance. So when those both hit in the same month, that really does some damage on the expense side. Materials that we have sold, the prices continue to remain low, and that's being seen in New Hampshire and Vermont across all the districts. I attended my first solid waste district operators meeting a week ago, and that's a common theme throughout the state. Mixed paper was especially low. We nearly had to pay to get rid of it this time. It ended up going out to Pennsylvania, I believe. So we're hoping for a rebound of those prices. Let's see. The question we get asked most about is, when are you going to take foam again? And I'm sure you're getting that question from people in your towns. And we are currently processing foam. We got the machine reconnected The day that the electrician came to do that, he also put in surge protection on our main electrical panel at the facility. The machine started up great. We did a training with anyone that is going to be running foam through the machine. It was very helpful. The company that manufactures the machine and sent it back, they included a box of items that they had removed from inside the foam machine that were caught in there and were big enough to not be expelled. And that was some of the clunking sound that the operators were hearing right around the time of the power surge. So it did end up having two issues, the electrical issue from the power surge or brownout. That was covered by our insurance. And then they were able to remove those other foreign items that were stuck in the machine. So looking at those items, I was able to notice there's one of them is, a shiny piece of metal that's encased in foam, which has solidified, and it's about the size of your fist. So it couldn't actually be expelled from the machine, and it just kept building up melted foam on it and rotating in the machine. That was removed. There were some plastics that were, non-foam items, and those have a different melting point. And so those foam the plastic items just keep going through that machine, but don't actually get broken down to a small enough size to pass through it. So it was good for us to see those items and have them in hand as we did our training to show people that we do want to process foam as quickly as possible, but each piece needs to be inspected before it's put into the machine. As you know, everyone who's bought things that are packaged in styrofoam, they frequently put nuts and bolts and other items into recesses in the foam, and they'll throw a piece of tape over it. And if you miss one of those, and the piece of foam gets fed into the machine, it'll chew up the foam, but it's not going to chew up a bolt or other metal items. So that's going to be one thing that we really emphasize with the attendants in each of the towns. Please look over the foam before it's sent to the district. It can't be wet. That's another issue we've run into. We do have some part of a bag that we had to dispose of because the foam arrived at our place wet. It can't have any tape on it, any labels. It just has to be clean foam. So we would really appreciate, once you do start collecting, to keep an eye on that. We had about 100 bags of foam. I don't know if you're aware of like the size of the bags that are sent back to the district with the plastic in them. They're about 6 feet tall and large around as probably 6 feet around. And we had about 100 of those bags as a backlog at the facility. So we've worked through about, I would say, 60% of that backlog already. We're trying to process foam 3 days a week. Sometimes we can only do it for 2 days a week. But I think we are on pace for early to mid-December at this point to start accepting foam from the towns. So we will certainly send out an update to each town about when we're ready to accept foam again. And also, with some of those guidelines that I mentioned about just being careful that the product is clean when it's collected and comes to us. So I had a meeting with a couple folks who would like to have us bale some agricultural film, the white bale wrap, which you see on the big marshmallows in the fields, and also the long tubes of silage. As you can imagine, farmers accumulate a lot of that material over the course of a winter. and it's a significant cost to them to have to send it to the landfill. And of course, we would all like to divert that from the landfill if we can. So there is an end market for that product. And Paul and the crew here did some baling, some experimental baling of that material last year. And so our baling machine is capable of handling that material. And so we just need to figure out how much time we can actually physically commit to adding another material to our inventory. And so at this point, we're going to start with 2 days a month. Most likely it'll be once every 2 weeks. The way that it's baled, we need to push other product behind it to push it out of the baler. And so we don't want to run it 2 days in a row. It really wouldn't work well for our machine. So we're currently putting together a cost estimate for us to do that. And there is a grant that the Connecticut River Watershed Alliance has, which would enable them to pay us to do this work for them. So it wouldn't be and they'll be selling the product into a market in Pennsylvania, I believe. And so we just want to make sure that we can cover our costs and that it's not a financial loser for us, but we want to do the most we can to accommodate them as well. We don't want to scale up too quickly and fall behind on other work. So we're going to start with the 2 days a month. Let's see. We currently have a rather pricey IT contract. We have 4 computers hooked to it. We have backup services. We have IT support kind of on call at our facility. It's running us about $500 a month plus a per call basis. And from talking to some other districts and also talking to a local vendor here, we're aiming towards transitioning away from that IT contract in 2026 and getting that service locally. So we met with a vendor last week, and it looks promising. It would be significant cost savings to the district, with really no impact on the services provided. So we will probably move in that direction. We're still discussing, but it looks like next week we may finalize that.
And the vendor is?
What's that?
The vendor is?
The current one or the one we're looking at?
The one we're looking at, yeah.
Northeast Computers in Lindenville.
Oh, so many of us are familiar with Josh. Yeah,
Yes.
That's a good outfit.
Yep.
Good outfit. Thank you.
We did get some stay mat delivered and spread with the skid steer to fill in the worst of the holes in the front parking lot. We had quite a few holes, and with the rain we've had lately, we're just worried about creating, 10 or 15 little skating rinks as people try to navigate between their car and our building. So we will be putting out a little bit more next week, but we got a lot of the front main parking lot done, which is good. It's also a lot easier on our equipment when we have to move it. We can actually get stuck. Some of the areas are so bad we can get stuck in the forklift. So it was good to have things a little bit smoother. Had the overhead door looked at. It's not ready for replacement. It's certainly aging and will be something that we'll need to address probably in the 3 to 5 year range. One of our trucks has, it's the truck that we own. It's the 2021 Mack. We have 3 box trucks. 2 of them we lease from Ryder. The 2021 Mack is one that we own, and it needed some work on the air brake system, which was done up at Pepin's. Pepin's, he was surprised by how new the truck was and that the air brake system is building up moisture and was freezing. And he hadn't seen an issue that extensive in quite a while. So we are having to drain that weekly at a minimum to try to prevent that from building up. And hopefully the fix that he did will still be effective as the colder nights set in.
Did he say anything about putting a automatic dryer on those things? So just keep shooting it out.
He did put a new air dryer in it.
Okay, that should take care of it.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I drained it, well, about a week after we got it back, and the amount of fluid that is building up is impressive, and even to him. So I'm not sure if we have and he did everything he could. I think the next step, if it continues to be a problem, probably would have a Mac dealer maybe give us an idea of what it may be. I think that's all I have for financial and operational, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that folks have.
First, back to the farm white plastic. How will that plastic arrive at the center? Are you picking it up weekly from us, or farmers taking it directly to you?
It will be delivered to us. There's kind of a middleman who will go and collect it from the farm, and then he will accumulate enough film so that we can process 2 to 3 1,500 bales in one session. So he will stockpile it and then bring it on the day that we are available to run it. And that's another item, just like all the things that we process here, cleanliness of the item is really important for not only getting the best price in the end market, but also the least amount of dirt and wear and tear through our baler. So I made sure to emphasize with him that we can't be getting film material that is wet, that is caked with silage, that has been dragged through the mud. We won't accept that. So he's kind of been put on notice about the quality of the material that we need to get here to run it through our machine.
How would we choose what farms will be able to join the program, and can we tell them now what condition that film has to be into, so as they're collecting it between now and when the first pickup is, they will be able to keep it in good shape?
So the fellow that I'm working with, who is going to be the one that has direct contact with the farms, he knows what needs to be the type of material that needs to be brought here, and he will collect from the farms that are, the first farms on the list will be the ones that are able to provide that clean material, and unfortunately that really narrows down the number of farms, because a lot of these farms don't have storage for the film after they use it. And so if they leave it outside and it accumulates water and ice and it's laying in mud, then they're going to have to landfill it. We're not going to be able to process that material. So I'm leaving that, I guess, selection process up to the fellow that we're dealing with. And he's well aware of the quality that we're looking for and the limitations we have.
Are there any more questions?
Oh, actually, I'd like to, if people could check with your collection facilities, and if you could send us and let us know what sort of backlog of styrofoam you may have, just so that we know what we're going to be up against once we start collecting again from the towns. We may want to phase in a certain number of towns per week rather than getting barraged with all the foam that very first week. So if you can check with your attendants and please just shoot us an email, even if they can put it on their weekly pickup sheet. And we'll track what sort of backlog there is out there in the district and figure out if we want to accept it all at once or kind of phase in, maybe even if we had to do like half the towns one week or half the other or go quarters. We just don't want to end up with a massive backlog that we can't deal with all at once. And I know a lot of people have mentioned that they've been saving it up, so it'd be good for us to know what's out there.
Yeah, in Westfield, once we got the word that that the machine was down, we stopped accepting it because it went in a landfill.
Yeah.
So we don't have a big backlog, but people keep asking every week. So we're going to be happy to start taking it again.
Steve?
The other day you saved out some of the styrofoam egg cartons. Did those not go through the machine as well?
Yeah, we've found some of the egg cartons, especially we had a run of green foam egg cartons, and same thing with the food trays that we accept. It doesn't work. The foam machine doesn't work well when you feed in a bunch of trays or egg cartons all at once. So we're trying to feed them in slowly with other of the normal white styrofoam, and that seems to work better.
So I'll just say, the egg cartons and the food meat trays are extruded polystyrene and not expanded polystyrene. And so it is a slightly different process to make that polystyrene and hence a different reaction, sort of, I would say, when you process it. It comes out like goop. And yeah, so you gotta like mix in the goopy stuff with the regular stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to get in hours on the machine just so I know what people are up against when they're using it, and I'll understand when they come to me with an issue. And so I'm learning right along with them, and it's been fun actually. So it's good to have it up and running again.
For those of us who have several bags, Chris, we don't have to send them all at one time. You could pick up just one a week.
Yeah, that's another way to do it. Yep. I just wanted to see if, try to get an idea of how big the backlog is of what's out in the towns. I know everyone, at the beginning, I think Paul told me that there were towns still collecting it because they actually had some room on site to put some away. A lot of you don't have much room, so you probably stopped right away when you couldn't send it here. But it would be helpful just for us to know what's floating around out there in the towns.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, moving on to number 9, other business.
Steve had a question about composting.
Okay, recently I talked to the town clerk for London, and last week I brought it up at our select board meeting. And I don't know if you can share this.
I really can't.
Okay. The town gets billed for quite a few tolls. So far in 25, we have 364 tolls. So if you count that for a year, and there's still 3 months to go. So
2 months to go.
well, on here she didn't do October, November, December.
Okay.
So I talked to, I mean, I think that's a lot of tolls. Especially when we did surveys, 2 surveys. And there were like 120 people that were participating in that. And with the district being closed on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, that's 156 days a year. Plus you have 12 holidays. So that seems to be a lot of tolls for that small amount. So I asked Chris, and of course it puts him in a tough spot because he's on the select board too. And he said to bring this to the board. So I asked Chris if we could develop a policy and have the people that use the service pay a small fee. Instead of it being paid by the taxpayers where a lot of them don't use it. Service.
So do we know how that,
Yeah, the 50 on totes.
do we know how that number compares to, let's say, 2023, 2024?
Well, it's the board.
So in 2023, six 623 totes. 2024, 459. And we're up to 364 with, this goes through September. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's going up.
No, but
It's probably dropping every year slightly. Well, it was a big jump, big drop from 23 to 24. And it looks like for 2025, it's either going to be lower again or about the same number.
right, I guess asking to have it paid for by the users, even if it's 50 cents.
So you're not concerned about the number of totes. It's more about should people pay or not. Is that what?
Yeah, I'd like to see the people that use it pay. I mean, like Eric, this is right in the backyard. I mean, that's gonna out his taxes. Yeah, Eric Paris. And then
I guess I'm not understanding the question.
Get filled up.
So I guess Steve is, I guess for discussion, Steve is proposing that people have to pay for putting a fee on compost. So this would be at all?
No, just at the NEKWMD facility.
Did everyone hear that? So a fee for walk-in, for people who walk into the facility here and want to bring in organic material. We currently don't charge for other items other than the tires. As far as your typical recycling commodities, we do not charge here. And
so we're not talking about putting a fee on compost in the town's facilities throughout NEK.
So you're saying just for here?
Just for here, because this is the Northeast Kingdom Waste Management Facility. Right.
Okay.
This is Paulette. May I make a a statement about this. I feel that composting is something that the state wants all of us to do. If recycling is not an expense to the people, then composting should not be an expense to the people.
I think I would agree with that, where it's a law that we need to be composting, whether at home or at facilities.
Yes.
Well, it is costing a long run. X dollars, but
I think if you charge people, you're going to encourage them just to throw it out in their trash like they used to. And someone that brings in a lot of compost versus a little bit, are you going to change the price, like, for half a bag or 2 bags or what? I mean, it's going to be a nightmare keeping track of that.
And there would have to be someone to collect the money.
but just like tires.
I don't think we should be charging for that. It's a requirement from the state, and I don't think it should happen.
At our town, we compost in through black dirt, and that bill comes to the town, and the town pays it out of town property taxes. What do other towns do when it is being collected and then sent into the district?
Oh, dear.
It's a similar
Well,
similar model. I'll just say, if you were asking a question, where the town is billed from the district for totes that are picked up by the district, and that bill is paid out of the tax base.
So the compost that comes in to the Linden facility, there's an agreement between the town of Linden and the district that Linden will pay 75% of the fee. So assuming, because that just assumes that the majority of the people, that 3 out of 4 people that walk in are from Linden. So that's been the agreement between Linden hosting the district, and realizing that most of the compost brought in is probably from Linden. And a few years ago, there was a study done where people were asked, what town are you from? If they had compost, and I believe it must have been somewhere around that 75% number.
Yeah, but there's no ID or anything, so it's hard to decide really.
It was closer to 88 or 89% for
Was
the times that I did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that was about like 6-7 years ago at this point. It was quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think should be something maybe to discuss at a further date with more information.
Well, we'll soon have the 2025 complete data set there. Yeah.
At least that October.
Is there anything else, Steve?
No, I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay. I actually have something that I'd like to say to all the supervisors present under other business. And I'm sure that you all received back in early to mid-October, Michelle put out a campaign by NECA, Northeast Kingdom Community Action, looking for tires, usable tires that could be given or be resold to people who had limited funds and needed tires for their automobiles. They held it at Calkins Sand and Gravel in Lindenville on October 23rd and 24th. And I'm mentioning this because we've talked quite a bit over the past number of years of the prices of what we charge to recycle tires, and we, the district, has always tried to make it so we break even on it. And I happened to bring 4 snow tires on Thursday, October 23rd there that were usable. As a number of people, supervisors know, I have quite a collection of classic cars, and I generate a lot of tires. And the majority of the tires the district brings in, I'd say probably 80% or so, are the ones that cost $3 to dispose. When I went there on October 23rd, they had a small cargo van that was taking usable tires. They also advertised in the Caledonia Record and such that they would also dispose of unwanted tires for $5 a tire, $2 more than the district charges. When I went there, there was a complete full roll-off, 10 cubic yard roll-off, full of discarded tires, and half of another roll-off full also. And this is the first day of gathering. I spoke to Chris about this, and my feeling, and this is my own personal feeling, is that we need at some point to modify what we're charging for tires, because theoretically we are breaking even, charging $3 a tire. But as Chris had mentioned to me, we have other expenses that you don't see, such as skid steer expenses for moving the tires, personnel expenses for moving the tires, and such. And if people are willing to fill a container and a half of junk tires at $5 a tire, I don't see any reason why we could not increase what we are charging per tire. I don't think they'll be thrown on the side of the road. These weren't thrown on the side of the road that they collected. Granted, many of them could have come from St. John's Murray, but it was held in Lindenville. And I think we need to recoup the hidden costs that we have on personnel and equipment. And having just had the skid steer fixed, that's part of the cost of being out, behind the gates there and moving things. So I just wanted to bring this to attention to the full board. So when this concern arises in the future, you have a little bit of information to go along with it. Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
I just wanted to, I can just add briefly, when people come in to the office and say they have some tires to get rid of, and we tell them that they're $3 a piece to get rid of, they're in shock that it's that cheap. If any of you have put your snow tires on recently and ask your mechanic, they usually say, do you want these? Do you want them back? Or do you want us to get rid of them for you? You're going to pay $5 to $10 a piece to get rid of them. So it is really a bargain. And I think it's, as Walt said, we're not truly capturing the true cost to us to store and handle those tires here at the district. So I think it's completely appropriate in the future to have a discussion about raising the tire price somewhat, maybe at some point in early 2026, and I can come up with a proposal for that if the board would like at some point.
That's just the tire without a rim or anything in it, right?
Yeah.
Because with a rim in it, it's more.
Yeah, so a tire 18 inches and under right now is $3 each. If it doesn't have a rim, $6 if it does have a rim.
So we can take tires if they do have a rim for $6.
Yeah, if it's 18 inches and under with a rim, it's $6 each. Yeah. And
Okay.
then the
Beecham has
price
never done that.
jumps. The price goes up if it's 19 and over.
Okay. That's interesting. My supervisor just had me increase the price of tires last year. I thought based on your prices, but that seems to be inaccurate.
What?
I think anyone would be hard pressed to get rid of their tires for $3 in any of your towns.
My town charges $8 a tire. My supervisor had us increase the price and said that was based on your prices. So clearly it was not.
Yeah. Our larger, if it's larger than, like 19 inch to 24, I believe are $9 each, not on a rim, and then 18 if they're on a rim.
Okay.
Yeah. So that it might have been for that bit larger tire is what you're thinking of.
Possibly. I do have a question about tires since we're on the subject. What kind of do we have a stopgap on tractor tires? Do we take large tires if they are cut in half?
Typically, if we have agricultural tires that are that large, we will oftentimes, if there's a few, we will send those people to the scale, and then we have a price for a per ton price. Those
Okay.
tires are extremely heavy and hard to handle.
Yeah.
So, and we typically get those in if it's from a farm or something like that. They have quite a few that they're getting rid of all at once, and so we will send them to the scale. We try not to accept the larger tractor tires.
Okay.
They're just
Thank you very
really
much.
hard to deal with.
Yeah, I can see why. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that information.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other questions?
Steve has a question.
I just
Okay.
have a comment.
Okay.
I think the program that Walter was talking about, that was to provide heating fuel assistance. And I think if you charge $5 here, people will probably just save it and send them there and help people out with their heating fuel.
It had nothing to do with heating. It was called Wheels for Warmth.
Yeah, that's it. As for heating fuel.
Yep, but that had nothing to do with heating. It was a program so people could have tires at a lower price that needed it.
Yeah, but the money they also collected to get recycle them went toward heating fuel, I believe.
The one that they just held,
Yeah, that's all.
those were good tires that they could sell, that were usable back on vehicles.
Yeah, not usable.
But that money all went towards, heating, like you.
Yeah. So people will probably save their $5 and say, hey, we'll pick them down there if they have it again.
Well, they wouldn't accept them if they want, servicing. As far as I know, they wouldn't take them down there unless it could be used on vehicles.
The points of paper, it took both.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, before we end, I just wanted to recognize that it is Veterans Day. I know in the room here, Jack is a veteran. I'm sure there's many others. Yep, Gene. So I wanted to say thank you. I'm sure there's others on the call here that are veterans. I think we should acknowledge that and say
Yep, thank you for your service.
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 Yes.
Any other business? Hearing none, may I have a motion? So
I'll make a motion
we
that
can
we
adjourn.
adjourn.
And I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Didn't think so. Everybody have a good evening.
All right. Happy
Good
Thanksgiving.
evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Good Thanksgiving.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Paulette. Bye-bye.
Good night, Miriam.
Bye.
Good night, Chris.
Wait, what you saw,
Bye.
got open birth.